flag, and our first run of the 2026 Broadmoor Pikes Peak International Hill Climb presented by Gran Turismo is underway. Which is a 940.6, so that was impressive. What a drive, and Billy Johnson will have to chase that. Next runner, and yeah, Vaschholz had run that car in time attack at Grid Life at Laguna Seca in the past. It was a blast to see it on a circuit. Here comes Merle Swan through some of the hairpins in the middle section. And these open wheel cars sort of very true to the original cars that were here back. You know, the balance of power and weight and getting power to the ground is also important. Here comes Merle Swan through the last few corners up to the summit, to the checkers. The first of the open wheel competitors to cross the finish line rather. Start line's 12 miles away at the bottom of the mountain. And Merle Swan, before they tackle the mountain, as J.R. Hildebrand takes the green flag now in the 2026 Chevrolet Corvette ZR1X. This is a crazy car, and I can't wait to see J.R. Hildebrand continuing his climb in the 2026 Corvette ZR1X. If you are a fan of cars, the ZR1X is going to be on your list to check out. I mean, the competitions amongst the manufacturers as of late to make the coolest, the craziest, the most powerful. It has been fun to watch, and the ZR1X is absolutely the pinnacle of that. And Chevrolet's brought a really good piece for JR. You mentioned his experience as an IndyCar driver. He's run in Indy Lights. He's run the 24 Hours of Daytona, the 12 Hours of Sebring. You know, he's done basically all there is to do in North American road racing. So it's really fun to watch him climb up this mountain. David Donner with that 953.740. Again, I think was chasing production record as well, wasn't he, Lonnie? So, and that was a 10:12.024, I believe. That was recorded previously. So we'll double check that for you as we continue to watch JR continue to climb up.
Yeah, we'll have to double check that, but that might have just been the production class record at a 953.7. But he has two drivers who are hot on his heels, including J.R. Hildebrand, who is going for the production class record, and he has been on a tear, throughout the entire month in what that Corvette ZR1X can do.
And here comes J.R. Hildebrand. This is through the last handful of corners. The tires are screeching. The Corvette ZR1X climbing to the top of the Pikes Peak summit, 14,115 feet. Here comes J.R. Hildebrand in time attack 1. What lap or what course time will it run?
And you know what, Kyle? I'm really glad to see Jimmy Ford. Looks like there is nothing stopping him. He looks like he's right on pace, which is a very, very good sign after that concerning bit of fluid on the start line. So glad to see that. You can see him using every single inch of this road here at Pikes Peak. Jimmy has been quite fast here on the lower section throughout all of practice. You see him get a little bit sideways there. That means he's on the limit of grip, right? And that's how you have to be if you want to drive this race fast. If you want to get to the top fast, you have to be on the limit of what's possible and what's not possible, because he's got really strong competitors. So he knows today that he has to give it his all.
Big slide for Jimmy Ford. That was a huge moment, taking it all the way out to the edge of the racetrack.
Billy has been super fast all month. He's running for Allegro Motorsports, and that team has a wealth of knowledge throughout all of motorsports. They've run in IMSA. One of the most fun times I've ever had in a car is in Lucy, so I'm excited to watch that run happen.
Billy Johnson waiting to go is
a little different on race day, so that's one of the things that the rookies handle well, and it's one of the things that oh man, that was awesome. Jimmy is giving it 110% into Olympic and into the finish line. We will see where he lands. Man, that looked cool.
And Cody Vaschholz has also taken the green flag. Merle Swan's first two sections, 139.572 and 216.1. Times very similar to Billy Johnson at the top of the board. So this is going to be a good run here for Merle Swan if that pace continues.
Of course, they're not competing against each other, but it's always bragging rights, right? Who can finish the highest, right? You want to be the highest finishing position possible despite what class you're in. But man, Billy Johnson with a 9:12.7 is blistering fast. That was really cool. Cody Vaschultz had his father, Clint, just run in the Pikes Peak GT4 by Yokohama. Cody is a third generation up here on Pikes Peak, so that's pretty special. He started by driving bikes, and then he now has this car, which is the Vaschultz Family Special, and it is fast.
Dan was one of the fastest drivers in qualifying in the run-up to the week, felt very confident. In 2025, was a Fast 15 qualifier and ran a 3:57 on the shortened course. Had a DNF in 2024 running in the unlimited class, but is now back in open wheel as he was last year.
Dan Novembre has the fastest time of a 9:27, so I think today, if anybody is going to, if they can beat it today, if Dan can beat it, he's going to beat that time today. But you look here at Cody Vaschultz, and that car is dancing. A lot of drivers like to think of this as a dance up the mountain. You're always trying to be on that limit of grip, and certainly we're seeing
and burning, and that left rear tire was smoking, spinning up the rear wheels. That means he's got power on tap, extra power that he can't quite put to the ground. It seemed like it was just the left side though, so maybe the differential, maybe spinning up that outside wheel. But it's fun to watch this car because it's so purpose-built for hill climbing. It's such a short wheelbase, it allows it to rotate on a dime like that. Where some of the longer cars struggle through the tight hairpins, this car does not. It's got a ton of aero, but it's short.
Absolutely. Cody's car is going to shine here in the middle section just by seeing how well it rotates, that short wheelbase, that nice amount of aero. He's really going to start to get into his own here in the middle section.
Will finish the race in 2026 with a 9:30.320, fourth overall, and now leading in open wheel, pending Cody Vaschultz and Dan Novembre. And watching Cody navigate these hairpins, this is where this car really starts to shine. You mentioned it in the middle section and the upper section as well. Huge aero, trying to just scoop the air, press the car to the ground. You want to do that? Well, you can make more power with it, and the side effect is that ethanol burns cooler. So at the high elevations, when you can't cool your engine as effectively, running ethanol will actually help keep the engine temperatures down. That's critical for a purpose-built car like this. It is a little bit less energy dense than gasoline, though, so you end up using a little bit more. So
now racing in that open wheel beast, so I'm excited to see how this shakes out.
Checkered flag, and Cody Vaschultz completes the run to the Porsche 911 to Billy Johnson, waiting nervously. Engines fired and off and away. Billy Johnson begins his run, his rookie run, up to the top of the Pikes Peak Hillclimb under the start gantry in a hurry with that flat six purring. One of the best sounds in motorsports is a flat six Porsche engine.
And you got to be in a hurry up here, that's for sure. And Billy Johnson, Jimmy Ford, they are both in a hurry because they have been wicked fast all month long. As you see Billy Johnson making his way through the lower section. He was really fast here. He qualified with a 3-minute 50-second lap time, if you will, on the lower section. And we'll see where he comes in timing-wise in the lower section, but he looks quick. This car doesn't have ABS.
Good old-fashioned threshold braking as well, right? I mean, just finding the limit without locking those front tires. And if you get a flat spot in a tire, there is no fixing it. You just have to run it. And if you were to get a flat spot, every time you hit the brakes again, the tire is going to continue to stop on that spot and make it worse and worse. So it requires a little bit of extra attention in the braking to not have that particular problem. But Billy Johnson looks really good at the moment. And this car looks super glued to the ground. Huge rear wing on the back of this car. And it's going to help a lot in the lower section with the high speeds that we're operating with. All the aero, the faster you go, the more it's going to work for you. As you climb and as you get up into the upper sections and the corners slow down, the aero is less and less important. It's all about mechanical grip and the balance of the car, the tires that you have. 30 at this lower section. So Billy continues the climb, working towards that first section, and was 4/10 quicker than Jimmy Ford in section 1.
Man, that's a close race if I've ever seen one. Really excited to see the battle ensue between these two. Both cars, again, just phenomenal race cars, super fast, big aero, and the arrows in the bottom section, the arrow is where you're gonna find it work the best for you, especially since it's very high speed, very flowing. There are some hairpins, but that arrow works nicely for you. And then when you get to the middle, it's less about the arrow, more about getting off those hairpins really nicely. And on the top, to me, is about survival. It's how do I survive the bumps? How do I go as fast as I can without, risking your run? Because you've made it that far, you want to make it to the finish line.
That Porsche is fast. You can tell just by looking at it, the way it's blasting through the trees. What a phenomenal drive for Billy Johnson so far. Section 2 for Jimmy Ford, a 2:14.817. And we'll see if Billy Johnson can match it. They are competing in Pikes Peak Open, chasing Valentin Simone in that Renault RS01. So all together in that Pikes Peak Open class. Now, after Billy Johnson runs, we've got some of our open wheel runners. We won't return to Pikes Peak Open cars until Andy Kingsley, which is the 34th runner. We are currently working number 16. So it'll be a little while until we see the next competitor for Pikes Peak Open.
Another thing to take in account for Pikes Peak is on race day, you have fans lining the side of the road, which you never do in testing. So it adds a whole nother element because you get some of your visual references taken away.
The run goes to the top of the board, 9:23.882. I thought I saw it launch off the line there. We'll get another look at it here in a moment. But there's Billy Johnson in the Porsche. Watch that car from left to right, using every inch of the road, even the little bits of shoulder that are there. This is a fast car. In the early 1900s, that started things off here. So in some ways, things have changed, but not all that much. But Cody continues the climb while Dan Novembri awaits the green flag for his open wheel entry. Cody's first two sections, a 138.1 and a 212.169. And Dan Novembri, with sticker tires, is off and away and begins the climb to the summit of Pikes Peak. And then has a lot of mechanical grip as well. There's Novembri in this bottom section. That's where that Wolf is going to be most comfortable. But longer wheelbase, a lot of aero. It's going to stick to the road like glue down here.
I love that you mentioned Cody Vaschultz getting off the corners because if I'm not mistaken, they just added a turbo. Deliver the power nicely there out of the tight hairpin corners, and that's probably why you saw some of the wheel spin.
Another note is that that car runs E85, so mostly ethanol fuel, which you generally has a bit more power. You can ethanol convert your car at home. Cole Powelson waiting at the start line for Unlimited, while Dan Novembri continues in the lower section in the open wheel category. I mentioned that 2025 Stryker RXX, maybe it's RX20, but Cole, 40 years old, out of Cottonwood Heights, Utah. And this is his 10th year running Pikes Peak, so a very experienced driver. His rookie time, 12 minutes, not bad as a rookie to run that back in 2000. Best time, a 9:33, kind of right in line with what we've seen so far. And I think he's in a good spot with that Stryker. He's run it a couple of years now. I think he'll be in a good spot. Here's Novembri now working his way towards that middle section now in the open wheel category. One of the fastest cars we'd seen in the Fast 15 in this class, so seating tells you he should be on top, but the mountain decides.
There's a good battle that's shaping up between Cody Vaschultz and Dan Novembri. It looks like Cody Vaschultz ran a 138.1 in the first sector, whereas Dan Novembri ran a 132.5, but then going on to the second sector, Cody was a little bit faster than Dan at a 212.1, whereas Dan was at a 215. So this is going to be interesting. I think both of their cars shine in different places, but Dan Novembri, he is certain
in the open wheel category and goes to the top of the open wheel class, second overall so far with a 916.344. That is a really solid time for Cody. His best time ever was a 919, so that is 3 seconds quicker, a personal best for Cody Vaschholz. That's a great run.
I think you're going to see that a lot today. I think a lot of drivers are going to do their best time, and that's what makes today so great. I think
half of our competitors beneath that time as Dan November slips and slides in the upper section, pushing the limit of that Wolf. What a drive so far for November.
Man, it's clear to see today that in order to be on the top, you've got to be right on the limit, and we see Dan November doing that. He is pushing that car to
and this is going to be his best time. Okay, last couple of corners here for Diego De Gasperi. We're climbing up through the middle section here, climbing to the top, but on Yuri.
See, and I think that goes to show just how special of a race the Pikes Peak Hillclimb is that despite all of the challenges, that's what almost brings people back year in and year out.
Yeah, incredible stories, and that is, one of the most spectacular clips, for better or for worse, of the mountain and how quickly it can bite. Diego De Gasperi in the number 47. Robin specializes in prototype and open wheel machinery as well. Here's the driver that a lot of people have circled as a potential king of the mountain, Simone Faggioli. Simone Faggioli gets the green flag, and the Italian hill climb master gets the green at Pikes Peak. And up and under the gantry towards the lower section, the 55 is underway if he can match Dumas' times in the upper sections, as Faggioli works his way through the lower section in this Nova and P01 prototype. They're so glued to the ground, and with so much experience tackling hill climbs all over the globe, I think this entire team, between Faggioli and Diego De Gasperi and the rest, they're well suited to be at the top of the board here shortly.
What I love to see is the fact that Robin Shute and Romain Dumas are so close in sector times, but they're two totally different go-fast philosophies, if you will. Robin Shute is taking the philosophy of getting it as light as possible, of course, both of them have a lot of aero, whereas Romain is using the EV philosophy and the maybe less power loss, but a little bit heavier. So they're both really, really quick cars. They just get to that speed in two very different ways.
Update on Shute. Section 3 is a 229.435. That's 7 seconds slower than Dumas' Section 3.
The hairpins, the tight corners, and then again it's just a race in between hairpins here. Straight line, hard brake, hairpin. That's the rhythm of the middle section.
Teammate to Simone Faggioli, Diego De Gasperi, I believe, has also jumped off the line. This is his first year racing Pikes Peak on the full course. Obviously last year was a shortened course. They are teammates. And these cars, to my knowledge, are prepped very similarly, if not identically. So we should expect to see times be similar there as well. So waiting for Section 3 for Faggioli. But again, Robin Shute really put up a solid time, second overall, right behind Dumas. But this group of teammates is going to be stout. So Faggioli, De Gasperi, and then we'll be back into some open wheel competitors, and we'll be kind of mixing and matching classes for the rest of the run. Here comes that 55 into the hairpins, throttling up. Nice short gearbox to click through those before the hairpins.
Again, this section of the racetrack is really difficult because he will not have run this at speed right until today. So it's kind of dusty right there where you just saw him cross, and now he's arriving at this right-hander, again with much more speed. It's largely a pretty fast corner followed by another pretty fast corner. The top is very, very fast. In my opinion, it's the most challenging part of the Pikes Peak Hillclimb because it's fast, but it's also super bumpy. You're seeing here in the bottomless pit, there's a big bump and a big compression followed by big speed down the straightaway here. and it's fun to watch how much speed he can carry in that hill climb car.
Between Faggioli and Shute, it will be neck and neck. Section 3, 3-second delta advantage Shute. So it's going to be tight for Super Unlimited at the top of the board. De Gaspari's first section, a little bit slower than Faggioli, a 133.8. But with so much ebb and flow, again, I'd expect this to kind of shift and shuffle as they continue their climb. But what a spectacular view we have from the air here. Just giving you a perspective of how Mars-like this surface is.
Absolutely. They call this section of the racetrack Boulder Park for a good reason. You see all of those boulders, and that's how it got its name. You may see Faggioli take a little bit different of a traditional line through here because of the bumps, but again, that repave has largely helped solve most of those weird line issues that people have on the top section. He's coming into a really fast left-hand corner that looks slower than it, looks faster than it is. You can carry quite a bit of speed through here, which brings you up into Cog Cut, which is notoriously bumpy and difficult to drive on. That's why he's a little bit more on the inside. There's more bumps on the outside, getting it nice and slowed down for that tight hairpin corner. Now he's only got a couple corners left to go before the finish line.
Simone Faggioli climbing up to the top of Pikes Peak, the last few corners in sight. Big wiggle and a bump onto the new pavement. A tense moment as the car settles back down. The last few corners, trying to go to the top of the Super Unlimited category. Faggioli across the stripe completes the 104th running of the Pikes Peak Hillclimb. And anxiously awaiting the time, it will be second in class, third overall, 8:32.997. 3 seconds behind Robin Shute. 12 miles and 3 seconds between them. Back at the Pikes Peak International Hill Climb, the 104th running. Robin Shute climbing up the mountain here in the lower section. His 7th year running. A 4-time King of the Mountain. We just talked about him off air here. An 8:40.080 is the time that he's shooting for to beat his own PB. But it's been a tumultuous last 6 months. Brought his previous Sendy car out to Laguna Seca at a Grid Life event. Had a pretty gnarly accident there. Ended up having a minor injury, and then had to rebuild this car from basically nothing. And this is a brand new build for this year. 2.3-liter Synergy engine, weighs 1,350 pounds. That's so light. It's like 6 times lighter than our Exhibition Ultra 4 cars earlier. But Robin is an unbelievable driver and has spent a long time, prepping for this event. And is a great steward of this event as well. I was watching his videos leading up to the week to help prep for this event. Really, lives the hill climb life, and I think it's really neat.
This has been 3 years in the making for Robin Shute. He came up with this idea that he wanted to build a wicked fast car to take up Pikes Peak with him and his friends. And so this is the moment it all comes together for him. And he sees this as a multi-year program, and there's been a lot that's gone into it. I know Yokohama Tire has developed a hill climb tire specifically for Robin Shute, and they've been working really hard together. So I'm excited to see how that tire does. We see a little bit of wiggle. Again, these drivers are at the point where they have to push to the absolute limit to fight for that King of the Mountain position, because Romain Dumas did an 8:18, which is wicked fast, and Robin really has to be on his game today to get down to that time. But again, I know this is a multi-year program for him, so this year he wants to take the Sendy car to the top and see what it can do, and of course, every driver always wants to win.
For the number 55.
We haven't heard of Faggioli as much here in the United States as we have the likes of Romain Dumas or Robin Shute, but during my research, I came across the fact that Simone Faggioli is widely considered one of the greatest hill climb drivers of all times. He has 19 hill climb championships in Europe. So he is here to contend with Romain Dumas and Robin Shute. And this is going to be the battle of the greats. These cars are incredibly fast. They have an incredible amount of aero. They're nice and light, and they require you to show up and bring your absolute best and nothing less in order to conquer Pikes Peak.
Robin Shute flying by spectators, looking absolutely solid at the moment. And here's the numbers I was looking for. Dumas' first section was 127.9. Robin Schute's first section was 125.2. To watch these unlimited cars, these super unlimited machines, tackle the 12 miles of Pikes Peak. Here's Robin Shute now entering the W's, climbing up towards that upper section.
The amount of time and preparation that has gone into every single one of these drivers is just immense. Robin Shute, like I said, 3 years in the making. But what's so cool about this is you see Robin Shute, who is largely doing this with his friends and with great partners.
Towards the top. Now, for Robin Shute, the internal combustion engine, it is turbocharged. It will still make power at these upper altitudes, but it will drop in power as you climb. So he's going to have to fight against that. So I'm curious in sections 3 and 4 if his deficit to Dumas is going to grow, or if he gives the section 2 marker 2:05.896, slower than Shute. So this is going to be a fun race to the end. Here comes Robin Shute in the Sendy car to the top of the mountain, 14,115 feet at the finish line. And Robin Shute completes. It's the 150th year of Colorado, the 250th year of America, 125 years of Ford, a special day for a special driver. Romain Dumas, 5-time King of the Mountain, holds 5 different records, and off the line under the start gantry, the Ford Mustang Mach-E is on the way to the top of Pikes Peak. Look at that thing accelerate. Just unbelievable power from those electric motors here. What a cool car, and the driver, look at him dropping the tires in the dirt, using as much of the road as he can.
Man, again, you really see how he's on the limit. You see some wiggles in the car going into the brake zone. That means he's braking at the very last second. That means he knows his brake markers to a T. And he is so experienced at the Pikes Peak Hillclimb. He knows this place. He knows every rock, every tree. He knows this place, I'd venture to say, better than anybody, considering the fact that he is the overall fastest man to ever go up Pikes Peak. And you can see why, because he is pushing that Mach-E to the very limit.
5-time King of the Mountain, holds 5 different records, including unlimited. In 2018, that time was a 7:57.148. But this is an incredible drive so far for Romain Dumas. Someone that has so much experience, competed in the 24 Hours of Le Mans, Nürburgring, the 24 Hours of Spa, Sebring, the Dakar Rally, WRC. I mean, this is a driver that has done everything there is to do under the sun in road racing, and paired with a manufacturer that has done everything there is to do in racing, period. I mean, this is such a stout combination. And every time you see this on the entry list, whatever Ford brings, it's a threat for the overall run. And again, Romain chasing a 6th King of the Mountain this year. That thing looks so planted, so glued. Dumas now carving his way through the upper section.
What I love about Pikes Peak so much is you encounter a surface that you wouldn't in any other form of racing, because it's normally open to the public, so it's going to be a little bit dirtier, a little bit less grip than you would typically find on a road course. There's also a pretty significant crown in the road, so that factors into the way you drive it. And again, because it's a little bit dirty, sometimes you see those big dust clouds behind cars, and to me, that's really cool.
Romain Dumas continuing to climb up to the W's here and on his way to the finish here. Tom Tang's best time before was a 10:31.372. So a big pickup for Tang here. And everyone that's in the paddock that sees these times knows the mountain is happy today. There is absolutely time to be had, but don't step over the limit. Look at Romain Dumas on the brakes, flying through with a 125 Super Mustang Mach-E.
Man, I love watching this section of the racetrack. This is really where, earlier in the week, we asked Romain what the Pikes Peak Hillclimb means to him, and he says it's a dream. And we're going to see his dream of the 2026 Pikes Peak Hillclimb running, taking the checkered flag. Where is he going to end up? I'm so excited to see.
Dumas across the finish line of the Ford Super Mustang Mach-E. Without a doubt, it will be the fastest time so far. Where will it land? Top of the board, 8:18.202. What an unbelievable time. And this is actually just after the start gantry, I think, here, Lonnie. So when Franco Caruso left, we saw that cloud of dust. And I wonder if that was a bit more of an off than we had at first thought.
It's super hard to tell, but it looks like this was early on. Thankfully, I think he looks like he didn't go too far off the road. It's Franco Caruso, and this is his rookie year. So hopefully everything will be okay with him. But again, it doesn't look like he went too far off, which we can see him walking here. That is a great sign. It looks like he didn't go too far off the road. So we're very, very pleased to see that. Anytime any driver goes off Pikes Peak, it's always a serious moment. So glad to see him up and walking.
Yeah, tough moments, right? And the mountain decides. And, you know, we'd had a pretty smooth day so far. It was sort of bound to end at some point. Unfortunate, but again, as you said, great to see that Franco out of the car and is okay. Walking back under his own power.